The message arrived while I was deleting another stack of mindless marketing reports. 3 lines of text that shattered 5 years of carefully constructed indifference. Your father's company is failing. Vanessa's been siphoning money for months. Thought you should know. I stared at my screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard, as my throat constricted. The anonymous tip sat there, bold and accusing, like a loaded gun on my desk. My name is Jordan, and I'd spent half a decade pretending my father's choices hadn't broken something fundamental inside me. Hey, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Lucas leaned over my cubicle wall, his familiar presence usually comforting. Not today. I'm fine. I clicked delete, but the words had already burned themselves into my memory. Just another spam email. Right. Because spam always makes you look like you're about to throw up or commit murder. He raised an eyebrow. Coffee break? Can't. Deadline. I gestured vaguely at my screen, now filled with marketing metrics that suddenly seemed absurd in their insignificance. Since when do you pass up coffee? Lucas's voice dropped lower. What's really going on? I swiveled my chair away from him, focusing on the downtown skyline beyond my window. Remember what I told you about Vanessa, your stepmother, the one who turned your father into her personal puppet? That's the one. My laugh came out harsh. Looks like she's finally showing her true colors. What do you mean? I pulled up the email again, letting him read it. His whistle was low and long. Anonymous tip, could be nothing. Could be everything. I drummed my fingers on my desk, mind already racing ahead. Dad's company was worth millions when I left. If it's failing now. Jordan. Lucas's tone carried a warning. Don't do this to yourself again. Do what? Care that my father's being robbed blind by the woman who destroyed our family. You know what I mean. Last time you tried to help your father, he chose her side. Again. The memory stung like a fresh wound. I'd shown him proof of Vanessa's lies about my grandmother's will, about the emergency withdrawals from their joint accounts. He'd dismissed it all, accused me of jealousy, of trying to come between them. This is different. I pulled up the company's public records, already searching for patterns. This isn't about me anymore. It's about justice. Justice or revenge? Lucas's question hung in the air between us. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia in accounting. Need to talk. Lunch? Important. The universe was laying breadcrumbs, and I was already following the trail. I have to know the truth, Lucas, even if it hurts. And what will you do with that truth? He sighed, recognizing the determination in my voice. What's the end game here? I thought about my father's warm smile, now reserved only for Vanessa, about the family photos she'd somehow erased from the walls of my childhood home, about my grandmother's last words, protect what matters, little bird. Some people wear masks to hide their hunger. The end game? I met Lucas's concerned gaze. I'm going to expose Vanessa for exactly what she is, and this time I have proof. My computer pinged with another email. This one from an old family friend at the SEC. Subject line, financial irregularities, Parker Industries. Looks like lunch with Mia just became very interesting. I grabbed my bag, already moving. Sometimes the truth finds you, whether you're ready or not. Lucas watched me go, worry etched on his face, but I was already 5 years too late for caution. The game had started, and this time, I intended to win. Mia was already waiting at our usual corner table in Lorenzo's, her fingers drumming an anxious rhythm on her water glass. The lunch crowd's chatter provided perfect cover for whatever bomb she was about to drop. I shouldn't be showing you this. She slid a manila folder across the table before I could even sit down. But after what happened with your grandmother's estate, inside were printouts of financial transactions, each one bearing my father's signature, or what appeared to be his signature. I'd grown up watching him sign documents at his desk, the precise way he'd loop his R's. These signatures were close, but not quite right. Found these while auditing the quarterly reports, Mia said. Notice anything strange about the dates? I did. Every transaction occurred on a Sunday. Dad never works Sundays, never has. Exactly. And look at the amounts. The numbers blurred together until I spotted the pattern. Each withdrawal just under the threshold that would trigger automatic review. Clever, professional. Your stepmother's quite the financial wizard, Mia said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. These started right after she became CFO. The promotion that should have gone to Martin Chen, Dad's right-hand man for 15 years. Until Vanessa convinced Dad that family should come first. My phone buzzed. Speaking of family, darling, it's been ages. Vanessa's voice oozed honey through the speaker. We simply must have you over for dinner tonight. Your father misses you terribly. I caught Mia's eye, watching her shake her head in warning. Tonight? That's unexpected. Last minute, I know, but we have wonderful news to share. 7 o'clock? I'm making your father's favorite pot roast. My mother's recipe, no doubt. The one Vanessa claimed my grandmother taught her, even though Gran had been allergic to beef her entire life. I'll be there. Mia waited until I hung up. You're not seriously going? Know your enemy. I tucked the folder into my bag. Besides, I need to see Dad's face when he talks about the company. He can't lie worth damn. Never could. Just be careful. Vanessa's not stupid. If she's inviting you now, she knows something's up. I left cash for my untouched lunch. Good. The house looked exactly as it had 5 years ago, when I'd stormed out, vowing never to return. Same pristine lawn, same perfectly trimmed hedges, same hollow echo of what used to be home. Vanessa answered the door in pearls and perfection, her smile calculated to the millimeter. Darling, you look professional. The slight pause, the subtle dig. Some things never changed. Jordan, Dad appeared behind her, and for a moment I saw the father I remembered. Then Vanessa's hand slipped into his, and the mask slipped back into place. Princess, it's good to see you. Princess. The nickname felt wrong now, tainted by everything that had happened. I followed them into the dining room, noting the new artwork, all modern, all cold. Mom's watercolors were conspicuously absent. So, Vanessa served the pot roast with flourish. We have exciting news. Tell her, darling. Dad cleared his throat. We're restructuring the company, streamlining operations. Restructuring. The word hung between us like smoke. What about Martin, the other partners? Early retirement packages, very generous. Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. It's time for fresh blood, don't you think? In fact, we'd love to have you back. Head of marketing. What do you say? And there it was. The trap, beautifully laid. Keep your enemies closer, wrapped in family obligations and corporate ties. That's quite an offer. I took a bite of pot roast, tasting nothing. What brought this on? Can't a father want his daughter close? Dad asked, but his eyes flickered to Vanessa first, seeking approval. Of course, I smiled, channeling Vanessa's own brand of sweetness. I'd need to see the books first, naturally, due diligence. The crystal wine glass in Vanessa's hand trembled slightly. Oh, darling, you know how boring all that financial stuff is. Let's just focus on family. Family. The word had become a weapon in her hands, a shield against questioning, a chain to bind us all to her version of truth. You're right, I said, raising my glass. To family and all its secrets. Dad coughed. Vanessa's smile froze, and somewhere, I swear I could hear Gran laughing. Martin Chen's hands shook as he pushed the manila envelope across his kitchen table. 5 years of retirement hadn't softened his edge, but fear had carved new lines into his face. I kept copies of everything, he said. Insurance, I told myself. Never thought I'd actually need them. The documents inside told a story that made my stomach turn. Not just forged signatures and creative accounting, but a pattern spanning years before I'd left. Small changes in contracts, altered terms, diverted funds, all leading to one conclusion. She's been planning this since day one, I said. Martin nodded. Your father never questioned it. Vanessa has a way of making terrible things sound reasonable, like forcing you into early retirement. His laugh was bitter. She said I was suffering from early dementia, started planting errors in my work, mixing up my files. Your father believed her, wanted to protect my dignity by letting me go quietly. My phone buzzed. Lucas, probably wondering why I'd missed our usual Friday drinks. I ignored it. There's more, Martin said, pulling out another folder, about your mother's accident. The word accident hung between us like a loaded gun. I'd been 17 when Mom's car went off Mountain View Road. The investigation ruled it mechanical failure. Dad fell apart. Vanessa appeared 3 months later, all sympathy and support. What about it? The mechanic who inspected your mother's car. Martin's voice dropped. He died 2 weeks after filing his report. Another accident. My chest tightened. That doesn't mean... His preliminary findings never made it into the final report. I found this in the company archives last week. He slid over a faded fax. The brake lines weren't worn, they were cut. The room tilted. I grabbed the table's edge, feeling splinters under my fingers. Why are you showing me this now? Because yesterday, someone broke into my house. Martin's hands wouldn't stop shaking. They knew exactly what they were looking for. If I hadn't kept these copies in my sister's safe. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Dad. Princess, we need to talk. Vanessa told me you've been asking questions about the company finances. I met Martin's eyes as I answered. Just doing my due diligence, Dad, for the job offer. Come by the office tomorrow, alone. His voice sounded strange. We can sort this out, as a family. Family. There was that word again. Of course, Dad. First thing tomorrow. I hung up and started gathering the documents. I need copies of everything. Already done. Martin pressed a USB drive into my hand. Be careful, Jordan. Vanessa's not just after money anymore. She's protecting something bigger. Or someone. I thought of Dad's strange tone. Did he know? About Mom? Martin's silence was answer enough. Outside, the street was too quiet. No traffic, no pedestrians, just empty sidewalks under buzzing streetlights. I pulled out my phone to call Lucas. A car engine roared to life behind me. Headlights flooded my vision. I dove between parked cars as the vehicle accelerated, missing me by inches. It disappeared around the corner before I could catch the plate number. My hands wouldn't stop trembling as I finally connected with Lucas. Where the hell have you been? He demanded. I've been trying to. Someone just tried to run me down. Silence. Then, where are you? Martin Chen's place. Lucas, it's worse than we thought. Mom's accident. It wasn't. Don't say another word. His voice was tight with urgency. Stay where you are. I'm coming to get you. I ended the call and clutched the USB drive, feeling its edges dig into my palm. Somewhere in the darkness, a car door slammed. Footsteps approached. Martin's front door was 10 yards away. My car was closer, but exposed. The footsteps grew louder. The truth about Mom was in my hands, along with evidence of years of careful destruction. But truth, I was learning, came with a price, and someone was here to collect. I made my choice and started running. Lucas's apartment felt like a fortress, but the walls kept moving closer. I'd been pacing for hours, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket, while he made calls to his security contacts. Martin Chen's dead. His words stopped me mid-stride. The room tilted sideways, then righted itself. How? Home invasion gone wrong. According to the police report that just came in, Lucas's jaw tightened. 2 hours after you left. My legs gave out. I sank onto his couch, the leather creaking like a scream. They were waiting for me to leave. The question is, who's they? Lucas sat across from me, his laptop open to a series of background checks. I've been digging into Vanessa's past. Before she was Vanessa Parker, she was Vanessa Mitchell. Before that, Sarah Cooper. And before that, show me. 3 marriages, 3 wealthy men, 3 companies systematically dismantled from the inside, and 3 convenient accidents that left her wealthy and widowed. My phone lit up. Dad again. I let it ring. You can't avoid him forever, Lucas said. The meeting is obviously a trap. I pulled out the USB drive, turning it over in my hands. But maybe that's exactly what we need. Jordan, no, Martin is dead. This isn't just about money anymore. It never was. I thought about Mom's break lines, about Martin's trembling hands, about the look in Dad's eyes whenever Vanessa entered a room. She's been collecting insurance policies. Dad's company is just the latest. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Your grandmother's house. 1 hour. Come alone if you want the whole truth about your mother. Lucas read over my shoulder. You're not actually considering... Gran's house has been empty since the estate dispute. I was already grabbing my coat. Nobody would think to look there. Exactly why it's perfect for an ambush. Lucas blocked the door. At least let me call in some backup. No time. I showed him my phone. Another text. Tick-tock. Cops find Martin's body in 30 minutes. Your fingerprints are everywhere. They're forcing my hand. They're playing you. Lucas gripped my shoulders. Think. What would your grandmother say? Gran's voice echoed in my memory. The truth doesn't hide in shadows, little bird. It stands in the light. She'd say I'm done running. I met Lucas's worried gaze. But she'd also say I'm not stupid. 20 minutes later, I parked a block from Gran's Victorian mansion. Lucas's voice crackled through my hidden earpiece. Security cameras are live. Any movement inside, we'll see it. The front door was unlocked. Of course it was. Inside, everything was exactly as we'd left it after the estate battle. Sheets covering furniture like ghosts. Dust thick enough to track footprints. And there, in the study doorway, a shadow I'd know anywhere. Dad? He stepped into the dim light, looking older than I'd ever seen him. I'm sorry, Princess. I'm so sorry. Movement behind him. Vanessa emerged, holding something that glinted dully in the half-light. Family reunion. Her smile was razor-sharp. How fitting. Right where it all started. Where what started? Your mother's meddling. Vanessa's grip tightened on what I now recognized as Mom's old letter opener. She was going to ruin everything, just like you're trying to do. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. Vanessa, please, you promised. I promised to protect us. She moved closer, the letter opener catching light. Like I protected you from the truth about Eleanor's will, about Catherine's accusations, about all of it. Static crackled in my ear. Lucas's voice, urgent. Police are 3 minutes out. Keep her talking. What truth? I forced myself to stand still as Vanessa circled closer. About how you arranged Mom's accident? Or about the others before her? She laughed, high and brittle. You have no idea what your mother was capable of. What she discovered. What she... A floorboard creaked upstairs. Vanessa's head snapped up. And in that moment, everything exploded into motion. The letter opener caught moonlight as Vanessa lunged. I twisted away, feeling it slice air where my throat had been. Dad shouted something. My name, maybe. But the blood rushing in my ears drowned everything else. You're just like your mother, Vanessa spat, circling me in Gran's dusty study. Always digging, always pushing, never knowing when to stop. Lucas's voice crackled in my ear. Police are blocked by an accident on Main. 10 more minutes. 10 minutes. Might as well be 10 years. What did Mom find? I backed toward Gran's desk, remembering the hidden compartment in the bottom drawer. What was worth killing her for? Everything. Vanessa's laugh held an edge of hysteria. The evidence about Timothy, about Marcus, about all of them. She was going to ruin everything I'd built. Built? Dad's voice cracked. What is she talking about, Vanessa? Don't play innocent, Richard. She whirled on him. You knew. Deep down, you always knew. About Catherine's accident. About all of it. You just couldn't bear to face it. My fingers found the drawer's hidden catch. Inside, a manila envelope waited exactly where Gran had shown me years ago. For when you're ready, she'd said. For when the truth matters more than comfort. The police found Martin. Lucas again. Urgent. There's a note. He named names. Corporate accounts in the Caymans. They're moving to secure The earpiece squealed and died as Vanessa's phone buzzed. The change in her face told me everything. "It's over," I said, holding up the envelope. "Gran knew. She kept records of everything. Your grandmother was a meddling old witch." Vanessa moved faster than I expected, slamming me against the bookshelf. Leather-bound volumes rained down around us. "Just like your mother, just like you." "Vanessa, stop." Dad grabbed her arm, but she shoved him away with surprising strength. He stumbled, cracking his head against the desk corner. The letter opener pressed against my ribs. "Where are the copies?" "Everywhere." Blood trickled down my side, but I forced a smile. "You taught me well. Always have insurance." Sirens wailed in the distance. Vanessa's eyes darted to the window, calculating. "You know what your mother's last words were?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. She begged. "Not for herself. For you. Please don't hurt my baby." As if I'd waste time on a teenage nobody. Something snapped inside me. Not rage. Something colder, clearer. I saw Mom's face, Dad's broken spirit, Gran's knowing eyes, all the pieces finally fitting together. "But you did hurt me." I met her gaze steadily. "Every time you manipulated Dad. Every time you erased another piece of Mom. Every time you made me doubt my own memories." Touching. The letter opener dug deeper. "The copies, now." "Check your email." Lucas's voice. From the doorway. When had he arrived? "They're already with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. And the press." Vanessa's grip loosened for just a second. I drove my elbow back, feeling cartilage crunch. The letter opener clattered to the floor as she stumbled. Dad was stirring, blood matting his gray hair. His eyes focused on Vanessa, really seeing her for the first time in years. "Catherine," he whispered. "Oh God, what have I done?" Vanessa lunged for the letter opener. I kicked it away, watching it spin under Gran's antique desk. "You want to know the truth?" My voice sounded strange, distant. "Mom found your pattern, the marriages, the accidents, the stolen money. But that wasn't what scared you. It was her letter to Dad, the one explaining everything, the one Gran kept safe all these years." Footsteps thundered up the stairs. Lucas stepped aside as armed officers flooded the room. "The truth?" Vanessa laughed as they cuffed her. "The truth is, you're just like me, plotting, manipulating, destroying lives for what you call justice." I helped Dad to his feet, feeling him trembling. "No," I said, "I'm like my mother and my grandmother. We protect what matters." The envelope crackled in my pocket as they led Vanessa away. Inside was Mom's last letter, and with it, the power to either heal or destroy what remained of my family. Some truths come with choices. This one was mine. The hospital corridor stretched endlessly, each step echoing like accusations. Dad lay unconscious behind glass walls, machines tracking his heartbeat in steady green lines. The doctors called it a stress-induced stroke. I called it the price of truth. "The board's meeting right now." Mia appeared beside me, clutching printouts. "They're voting to liquidate the company." "Let them." I pressed my forehead against the cold window. "It's all poison anyway." "Jordan." Lucas's voice, careful. "There's something else. The FBI found more files in Vanessa's cloud storage about your mother." My stomach lurched. "I don't want to know." "You need to." He held out his tablet. "Because she wasn't working alone." The security footage was grainy, dated the night Mom died. Two figures in the company parking garage. One I recognized as Mom. The other, Dad. My voice cracked. The figures argued. Dad grabbed Mom's arm. She pulled away, pointing at something. Papers maybe. Then she left. 2 hours later, her car went off Mountain View Road. The timestamp matches the mechanical records. Lucas wouldn't meet my eyes. Someone tampered with her car while she was confronting him. No, but the denial felt hollow. He wouldn't. "Miss Parker." A detective appeared, badge glinting. "We need to ask you some questions about Richard Parker's involvement in Catherine Parker's death." The world tilted sideways. I stumbled, catching myself against the wall. You can't seriously think, but I saw it now. All of it. Dad's guilt, his immediate surrender to Vanessa's manipulation, the way he flinched whenever anyone mentioned Mom's accident. "We have a warrant to search his office." The detective's voice was distant, underwater. "And your grandmother's house." Gran's letter, still unopened in my pocket. My fingers trembled as I pulled it out. "Dearest Richard," Mom's handwriting blurred through my tears. "I know about the embezzlement, about the offshore accounts. I can't protect you anymore. The company was failing even then." Mia's voice was gentle. "Your father had been cooking the books for years. Your mother found out. And Vanessa," the words tasted like ash, "recognized an opportunity." Lucas took the letter carefully. "She approached your father after the funeral, offered to help hide the evidence in exchange for everything." The pieces clicked into horrible place. She blackmailed him into marriage, into giving her control. "We'll need that letter as evidence." The detective held out an evidence bag. "Evidence against my father for my mother's murder." A machine screamed in Dad's room. Medical staff rushed past me, a blur of blue scrubs and urgent voices. BP dropping. Code blue. Clear. I watched them try to restart his heart, remembering his hands teaching me to ride a bike, to tie my shoes, to sign my name like his. Those same hands had killed my mother. "Jordan." Lucas caught me as my knees buckled. "You don't have to do this alone." But I was alone. Had been since that night on Mountain View Road. Everything since then, my revenge against Vanessa, my quest for justice, had been built on a lie. Time of death, 9:47 p.m. The words fell like stones into still water. Dad was gone, taking his secrets with him. Vanessa would claim he was the mastermind, paint herself as another victim. The company would collapse, and I was my mother's daughter, and my father's, built of justice and deception, protection and betrayal. "Miss Parker?" The detective again. "We'll need your statement." "You'll have it." My voice sounded strange, hollow. "But first, there's something I need to do." Gran's house waited in the darkness, holding one last truth, one final choice between justice and mercy, between exposing everything and protecting what little remained of my family's name. Mom had chosen truth over protection. Look where it got her. Now it was my turn to choose. The interrogation room felt smaller with each passing hour. Vanessa sat across from me, still wearing her designer suit, her handcuffs gleaming under fluorescent lights. No makeup, no masks, just cold calculation in her eyes. "I want immunity." Her voice carried the same smooth confidence that had charmed my father. Full immunity, in exchange for the truth about Catherine's death. The two-way mirror reflected our faces, mine drawn with exhaustion, hers eerily calm. Behind it I knew Lucas and the FBI agents were watching, waiting. "You don't have anything I need." My fingers traced Mom's letter in my pocket. "Dad's confession is enough." "Is it?" Her smile turned predatory. "Your father was weak, Jordan. He only saw what he wanted to see. But your mother, she was like you, relentless, dangerous." The temperature seemed to drop. "What are you talking about? Did you really think Catherine was just an innocent whistleblower?" Vanessa leaned forward. "Ask yourself, how did she access those financial records? Why was she meeting with the SEC weeks before her death?" My throat tightened. "You're lying." "Am I?" She pulled a folded paper from her jacket. "The guard had missed it in the search. Your grandmother gave me this right before she died. Insurance, she called it." Read it. My hands shook as I unfolded the document. Mom's handwriting, but not the desperate plea I'd expected. Instead, detailed instructions for accessing offshore accounts, transfer records, her signature alongside Dad's on documents dated years before her death. She was embezzling too. Vanessa's voice dropped to a whisper. "Using your father's guilt to build her own safety net." Eleanor found out, confronted her that night. That's why Catherine was really at the office, to destroy the evidence. No, but the denial felt hollow. Gran would have told me. Would she? The same woman who kept this hidden all these years. Vanessa's cuffs clinked against the table. We're not so different, you and I. We all do what we must to survive. The door burst open. Lucas rushed in. Jordan, stop. The document's a forgery. We just confirmed. Too late. Vanessa's laugh was triumphant. The seed of doubt is planted, just like with Richard, just like with all of them. Something snapped inside me. Not rage, clarity. I saw Mom's face in my memory, not desperate or guilty, but determined. Gran's wisdom. Truth isn't in papers, little bird. It's in actions. I pulled out my phone, played the recording of the last 5 minutes. Vanessa's smile faltered. You just confessed to forging evidence. My voice was steady now, and implicated yourself in 2 murders. You can't, but I can. Because I am my mother's daughter. I stood, finally seeing the fear crack through her facade. She taught me to protect what matters, and Gran taught me how to wait for the truth to surface. I'll still walk. Desperation edged into her voice. Your father's confession was a lie. Lucas laid down another document. His final statement, recorded at the hospital. The full truth about that night. About how you manipulated him into taking the blame. About everything. Vanessa lunged across the table. I stepped back, watching as guards rushed in to restrain her. Her screams echoed down the corridor, but they couldn't touch me anymore. Outside, dawn was breaking over the city. Mom's real letter waited in Gran's house, where it had always been. Not evidence of guilt, but a warning about Vanessa, about the pattern she'd uncovered. A truth that had cost her life. What now? Lucas asked quietly. I thought about the company, about the employees who deserved better, about the legacy my mother had died protecting, about the choice between revenge and justice. Now we rebuild. I watched the sunrise paint the sky in shades of hope. But this time, on a foundation of truth. Behind us, Vanessa's screams faded to silence. Some victories don't need witnesses. Some justice is written not in courtrooms, but in the quiet moments when we choose who we really are. I chose to be my mother's daughter, and that was enough. Gran's house smelled of lemon polish and fresh paint. The restoration crew had finished last week, bringing life back to rooms that had held secrets for too long. I stood in her study, running my fingers along the newly organized shelves, each book exactly where she'd kept it. The morning paper lay on her desk, my desk now. Parker Industries restructures under new leadership, screamed the headline. Below it, a smaller story. Vanessa Mitchell Parker faces multiple murder charges. The board approved the employee buyout plan. Mia appeared in the doorway, clipboard in hand. Martin Chen's daughter is handling the transition. She says it's what her father would have wanted. I nodded, thinking of Martin's final act of protection. The evidence he'd preserved at the cost of his life. And the pension fund, restored. Your father's offshore accounts covered most of it. Dad's final confession had revealed everything. His weakness, his complicity, but also his desperate attempt at redemption. He'd transferred everything back the night he died, knowing what it would mean for his legacy. Ms. Parker, a young intern, Kevin maybe, hovered nervously. They're ready for you in the conference room. The company's new offices occupied the renovated east wing of Gran's house. Mom's watercolors hung in the reception area, while Gran's collection of family photos lined the corridors. No more sterile corporate towers. No more buried truths. Lucas waited outside the conference room, concern etched on his face. You sure about this? Through the glass, I could see them waiting. Employees who'd stayed. Investors who believed in the restructuring. Even a few familiar faces from Dad's old board. All watching to see what Richard Parker's daughter would do with her inheritance of ashes. I found this in Gran's desk. I handed Lucas a sealed envelope, dated the week before she died. She knew about everything. But instead of exposing it all, she left me a choice. Inside was a single sheet of paper, not evidence or accusations, but a recipe. Mom's apple pie, the one she'd make when the world felt too heavy. Below it, Gran's elegant script, Sometimes healing starts in the kitchen. Little bird, choose what you feed. The press is waiting for a statement about Vanessa's trial. Lucas's voice was gentle. They want to know if you'll testify. The weight of Mom's letter pressed against my heart, tucked safely away. Not the desperate warning Vanessa had claimed, but a mother's love letter to her daughter. A reminder that justice and mercy weren't opposing forces, but different ingredients in the same recipe for healing. Let them wait. I straightened my jacket. We have a company to rebuild first. The conference room doors opened. Faces turned toward me, some hopeful, some wary, all carrying their own versions of the truth. Like Gran always said, a house is built of walls and beams, but a home is built of love and dreams. Welcome to the new Parker Foundation, I began, feeling Mom's strength in my voice, Gran's wisdom in my words, even Dad's determination in my stance, where we protect what matters most, our people, our integrity, and our future. Later, alone in Gran's kitchen, I pulled out Mom's recipe card. The paper was worn, stained with memories of Sunday afternoons and second chances. Outside, the garden she'd loved bloomed with fresh life, while inside, the house hummed with new purpose. Some would say justice meant destroying everything Vanessa had touched. Others would argue mercy meant burying the past entirely. But as I gathered ingredients in the fading light, I understood what Gran had tried to teach me. True healing isn't found in revenge or forgetting, but in choosing what to build from the ruins, in knowing which traditions to preserve and which patterns to break. I measured flour into Gran's old bowl, ready to feed something new into the world. The truth could wait. Tonight was for baking,